Today's political figure episode, we got the one person in Congress who knows if TikTok uses the Wi-Fi and collects the face data, the congressional social media sensation that was requested over and over again, Mr. Jeff Jackson. Jeffrey Neal Jackson, whose parents really missed a chance at alliteration, was born September 12, 1982 in Miami, Florida, which makes him another badass millennial doing us proud, and also quite possibly the only politician from Florida who's not currently trying to be a supervillain. However, that might be due to the fact that he was raised in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. He graduated from Chapel Hill High School in 2000 and then went on to get his bachelor's and then master's in philosophy from Emory University in Georgia. While attending Emory, he also joined the National Guard, and then after graduating with his master's, he went and did a year-long tour in Afghanistan. Once he got back from Afghanistan, he went back to college to the University of North Carolina School of Law to get his Juris Doctor and ended up becoming one of the few JAG officers that doesn't seem to be a jag-off, at least as far as the ones that get into politics go. Shiny new law degree in hand, he ended up becoming a prosecutor and then the assistant district attorney for Gaston County, North Carolina. 2014, Jackson was selected to fill the Senate seat that had been vacated by Dan Clodfelter, who resigned to become mayor of Charlotte. Jeff would go on to win the general election later that year and the next couple elections, serving as a state senator until 2022. On the state Senate, he received his first bit of national attention by being the only senator to go to work on a snow day. That's commendable, and having been all over the South, including Charlotte and Raleigh, I understand why they might have considered that newsworthy, because if you mention snow down there, they declare a state of emergency. But their snow days never actually include any, snow. But hey, he was the one guy in North Carolina who didn't use a cool breeze and a flurry to get out of work, so more power to him. While in the state Senate, he worked on expanding public education and on criminal justice reform. He got an anti-trans bathroom bill repealed, but his most notable accomplishment in the North Carolina Senate was making rape illegal. And it only took him introducing legislation 4 separate times over several years before he finally got it passed on October 31st, 2019. That's when North Carolina finally made rape completely illegal. You see, prior to this, it was only partially illegal. It was only illegal if consent was never given. But once a woman gave consent, she lost the right to withdraw that consent regardless of the circumstances. So in North Carolina, for 40 years, if you said yes to somebody's advances at any point, that was your final answer and you lost the right to say no. And this meant that a lot of people got away with assault or ended up getting lesser charges. Despite numerous bills over the 4 decades that this was law being introduced to close this loophole, the conservative-controlled state assembly either just wouldn't vote on the bills at all, or they would strip the language from the bills before voting on them. So it took 4 decades and then Jeff Jackson 4 separate bills to finally make no mean no in North Carolina. In 2021, Jackson started a campaign for U.S. Senate, raising over $3 million in the course of a year, but suspended that campaign in December to endorse Sherry Beasley for the general election. But with his state Senate district being redistricted and gerrymandered in 2022, making it more difficult for him to retain his seat, he decided to pursue a U.S. Congress seat in North Carolina's 14th district. He won with 58% of the vote and has since garnered national attention for his efforts right here on TikTok. Jeff Jackson has been able to leverage social media in a unique way that no other politician has been able to do. And he's found a way to use social media to not only effectively communicate with his own constituents, but with the country as a whole, delivering nonpartisan, straightforward, easy to understand messages about how Congress works, policy issues at hand, and simple explanations to complicated political pageantry that we see all too often in Congress. This has given him name recognition that is unheard of for a freshman congressperson, and has been seen by voters on both sides of the aisle and around the country as an honest, straightforward politician and a breath of fresh air. However, the majority party in North Carolina, not being a fan of honest, straightforward politicians or democracy, planned to redistrict his congressional seat like they did his state Senate seat and gerrymander him out of a job again. And if that does happen, that will sadly make Jeff Jackson a one-term congressman who won't have a whole lot of time to pass any legislation in a short 2-year term. At this point, Jackson has not announced his plans, if he has any at all, of what he'll do if that does come to fruition. But he has already demonstrated that he has the potential to run a strong and competitive Senate campaign, and that was before he had the name recognition and support of over 2.2 million followers on TikTok. That being said, if he loses his congressional seat at this point in his career, a U.S. Senate seat is really the only realistic and viable option for him to run for as far as federal seats go. And in North Carolina, that would still be a tough race for him. He could arguably also make a strong run for governor of North Carolina, but with Roy Cooper currently occupying the governor's mansion and being a member of his party, it's not a seat he would likely pursue unless Roy Cooper decided to not run again. That being said, there are a myriad of other state elected positions and a number of state and federal appointed elected positions he could arguably be qualified for as well. That being said, whatever his next steps may be, his military and his legal background, his demonstrated effectiveness as a state legislator, fundraising abilities, and his impressive and unique ability to connect with voters nationwide using tools that most politicians can't even pronounce the name of, it'd be absolutely asinine for the party to not put him in a position where he can maintain some sort of upward mobility. That said, the party does dumb shit just fucking constantly, so who the hell knows. Either way, you should absolutely go follow him, and I hope to see a lot more of him and a lot more like him in the years to come.